Hello, Anicod here, and today we're going to be talking through the electric heater. I'm going to show you how to set it up. There's even a little bonus at the end, so you can have automatic central heating in your base. So stick around for that, and let's get straight into it. So the electric heater, what is it good for? Well, it's exactly how you'd expect. When it's plugged in, it'll use 3 power to heat up an area in front of it. We'll get a little bit into the radiuses and how much it heats in a few minutes, but first, where would you even get one of these from? Well, there's a few different places. You can get them from sunken chests, you can get them from crates, and there's even a small possibility you can get them from oil rig scientists as well. You can buy them from outpost vending machines. They cost 75 scrap each. You can craft them with a level 1 workbench, and they cost 200 metal frag, and these things are really strong. The only time these are going to get destroyed is by passive raiding, for example rockets that do splash damage. Reason being, one of these will take almost a full mag of explosive ammo to blow up, so no one's going to be wasting their explosive ammo shooting a heater. So don't worry too much about hiding these out of the way. And they're not just good for if you live in a snow biome either. They do actually affect the plants now when you're farming. So you can put a heater on the wall, put the planter boxes in front of it, and this means you can also grow plants in the snow as well as keeping them good condition in any other part of the map. Maybe not the desert biome, cause it's already pretty warm there, but you get what I mean. Now this is what it looks like when it's out. You have got 2 little nodes. You've got a power in, and you've also got a pass through as well. So for example, when you plug in the heater to power, it will light up. This shows that the heater is active, and you've also got a pass through. So for example, the heater uses 3 electricity, the generator outputs 100, so it will absorb 3 and then output 97 through the pass through. This isn't anything special. Most things with a pass through will do the same. So this is the area that you're looking at that it affects. You might notice that the area doesn't go up to the wall, and there's a simple reason for that. If you look down above your health, you will see a little comfort bar when you stood in the heater's radius. So the heater will only output in front of it and not necessarily around it. So you can see here when you stood right in the middle, it will go to 50. That's the maximum one heater can give you. As you start moving further and further out, it will gradually drop and drop until you get out the radius, which I'm out now, and it'll drop to 0. So this is what it looks like. Now, foundation wise, you are looking at 1 foundation plus an overhang. So you've got almost a 50 comfort for every heater, plus roughly 25 comfort around that radius. So what does this mean then? Does this mean you need 1 heater for every single square? Well, no, not quite actually. So I'm stood inside a 2x2 and 2 blocks high as well. And anywhere you see a blue light is where the heater doesn't reach. So if you've got your storage boxes, for example, in a corner or whatever, you're going to be absolutely fine. As long as you're not stood in the corners, which I don't think you are going to be, then you should be all right. The next question is then, well, does it go through walls? Because no one is going to have a wide open 2x2 base like this one. Well, let's test it out. So if I put 2 walls completely cutting off the heater, and I'll put them 2 high as well, you can see that it has no effect on the heater whatsoever, which means if you've got a 2x2, you can literally just put 1 heater in your base and it will heat the entire base. So don't worry about getting tons of these things and just putting them everywhere. So this is the size of a base that 1 heater can actually heat. I'll show you probably the best place for it. So I've made this extremely simple, and if you put the heater right at the very top of the first floor and make sure it's plugged in, it will give you a radius that's roughly the shape of a giant ball. So for example, I've got nothing now, however walking into the base, I've got comfort, and then I can also go upstairs, and remember the floors and the walls don't affect the heater, so even upstairs here I've still got brilliant comfort. The only time it will drop is when you stood right in the corners, as we mentioned before. Now, it does use permanent power. If you are running off a battery, I'm going to show you a quick and easy way to only have the heater turn on when you're in the base, so it doesn't drain your battery. All you're going to need is a HBHF sensor. You're also going to need a memory cell, and if you want to be fancy, you can also use a switch, which I've just shown you. The switch is no good in this location, so I will move it, but I'll set it up first just to show you how it sets up, and I'll show you why you might want to switch, but you can run it without. So the memory cell, if you don't know how to use it, look up in the cards now and there'll be a memory cell and how it works. I would suggest watching that first and then coming back. So if you put the output of the switch into the reset, that will reset the memory cell every time you flick the switch. You've got to make sure everything is powered up as well, which is why I've got a splitter. Now I'm running from a generator at the minute. You're probably not going to be lucky enough to have a generator unless you're running a modded server, and I've said it a million times, but I'm only showing you the operation here. I'm not wiring it up in the most economical way. That's up to you to do. So once everything is powered up, including the HBHF sensor, make sure you exclude everyone but yourself. Reason being, if you get raided and people walk into the base, you don't want the heater turning on and you keeping them nice and warm. You only want the heater to be active when you yourself is in the base or anyone authorized on your tool cupboard. So put the output of the HBHF into the set of the memory cell, and then you can put the output of the memory cell into the heater. Now, as I mentioned before, it's not going to work completely because the switch is in front of the HBHF, so I will clear this off and move the switch out the way and then show you the operation. But as far as setting up the electrics go, you can't really get much easier than that. So I'm just going to put the switch here out the way. I'm going to set it up exactly the same way. So the output of the switch into the reset, and then also make sure the switch has power, as I mentioned before. So I'm just going to quickly sling this up here. Right, so now every time you hit the switch, it will reset the memory cell back to the inverted output. When you walk in, the HBHF will pick you up and it will automatically turn the heater on. Now, there's a couple of upsides and downsides to this. You've got to remember to flick the switch when you go out to reset it. But say if you've just come in your base now, you walk in, you see the heater's not on, you can just walk straight in and completely forget about it and you'll automatically get comfort. Now, the reason I mentioned using a switch is because it gives you a little bit more control. So for example, if you leave the switch turned on permanently, the heater will turn on and go off as and when you're in and out of the room. So it does give you a little bit more control. Now, if you leave the switch off completely and you walk in, once the heater turns on, it will stay on permanently. So it does give you that little bit of option. Now, if you're not too fussed about messing about with it, you can completely bypass the switch. I'll show you how to do this right now. And instead of having the power running into the switch, you're going to have permanent power running into the actual reset of the memory cell, like that. And that is it. This is how I would have it set up personally. So when you walk in, the heater comes on. When you walk out, the heater turns back off again. There's only one thing to remember with this, and the HBHF sensor is only downstairs. So if you walk upstairs, it won't pick you up while you're upstairs. So it could be worth using the switch, as I mentioned before. But if you have got a wide open room, then this is going to work a treat. You don't have to use an HBHF, you can use a laser. There's all sorts of other things you can use. So just have a play around on it and see what works for you. Right, again, I've tried to keep the video really fast and really straight to the point because I really don't like wasting people's time. If you've got something out of it, feel free to give me a like. It lets me know I'm doing a good job. If you want to see more, feel free to subscribe. If you've watched it this far, let me know you're a legend in the comments down below. And again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.